Check, check, quick sound check. Can everybody hear us loud and clear? What's going on, Coach Paul?
Hey, happy Friday, Coach Jay. Can hear you loud and clear.
Happy
Welcome back.
Friday to everyone. Welcome back to At the Buzzer, our market recap. If this is your first time here, the goal of this segment is to review what happened in the markets for the day. We may talk about some markets that you have not traded before, but we believe our goal as traders is to identify opportunity. We want to see how we could take advantage of those opportunities while managing our risk. If this is our first time meeting, I'm Coach Jay, and a Topstep performance coach since June of 2023, and that is Coach Paul. Coach Paul, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Coach Paul. I've been with Topstep since April of 2023. I've been involved in the futures trading industry for 4 decades. I'm here to share some of my experience, some wisdom, and hopefully help you become a better trader.
Awesome stuff. Thank you for that, Coach Paul. You are all our chat, our audience. Thanks for joining us, especially on a Friday. We are going to review what happened in the markets, but let us know how you did for the week. Are you up in the week, down in the week? Anything that you learned from this week? Anything that you implemented into your trading strategy that you learned from last week that you are bringing into your trading? 2 full weeks to go. 2 weeks to go. Full weeks before 2026. Wrap up 2025 here. Let's take a look at economic calendar. It was pretty quiet today. Not a ton of news. There was some news about Oracle data centers not being available for OpenAI until 2028. Oracle came out and said that's not true. So with some of these the tech news that's coming out here, I don't know how to navigate that. Do you believe it? Do you not? Do you not even pay attention to it? It causes some volatility, but headline comes out, the market's going to react to it. Algos are going to jump onto any keywords. Have a company refuting those claims. It's not the first time we've seen this week. So just be careful.
Not only that, we're going to see more of that, I believe.
Absolutely.
And the one thing, we're not trading the news, we're trading a market. So be prepared, and especially coming into the last 2 weeks, things we saw a bit of it today. Liquidity, it's thinner, and moves get exacerbated.
100%.
The only thing you control is your risk, your size, and how much you lose. So batten down the hatches for the next 2 weeks.
100%. All right. Bink says, I added automated trading that I'm going to test out in a practice account. Excited to see how it does. Nice. Let us know how that goes for you. I'm curious to know what you automated. Let's take a look at the quote board. Not a lot of green on the quote board today. We had a lot of markets down. 36 markets we can trade with Topstep accounts today. To the downside, we had natural gas down 2.62%. Silver down 3.81% after making a new all-time high. And micro Ethereum, our biggest percentage mover to the downside, down 4.27%. To the upside, had lean hogs. I keep mentioning lean hogs, and I haven't looked at it. Oh, okay. Nice little rally there in lean hogs.
Bacon's going to get more expensive.
We don't want that. We don't want that. Lean hogs up 0.39% on the day. Gold up 0.39% on the day. And platinum, our biggest percentage mover to the upside, up 2.98% on the day, making a new high of the year. Platinum did trade above 1800, 430, new high of the year in platinum. Gold ended the day up, but if you traded gold today, you might have caught a really nice short in this market, and we'll talk about those charts when we get there in just a minute. Charles, I agree. That segment with Coach Hogue, Vince, and Paul was first rate. Great segment there, Coach Paul. See you on group coaching today.
I think it was great to be on there with 2 veterans, and enjoyed it. It's what we do here at Topstep, and hopefully we can do some more. And hopefully you learned something, because it's really a combine. If you're in a combine, is about learning. So
absolutely. Let's take a look at our big 5. We had crude oil down 0.21% on the day. The S&P down 1.5%. Gold up 0.39%. We talked about natural gas down 2.53%. And the NASDAQ ending the day down 1.96%. pretty aggressive sell-off in the NASDAQ today. Let's pull up the NASDAQ chart here on a daily. Let's go to the weekly since it is Friday. What are we seeing on the weekly here, Coach Paul?
Um, a little profit taking. I mean, we're still in an uptrend, profit taking coming into the end of the year. Still a solid uptrend, um, back into rotation. You know, I know check. Do you know how much the NASDAQ is up for the year?
Good
Percentage wise.
question. I'm gonna guess 18%.
Oh, pretty close, 21%. So, and the Dow and Rusty are up about 14%. So I think there's a little rotational profit taking out of risky or assets, AI assets, into putting them into the staid stocks of the Dow and Rusty, and we saw a lot of that this week. So still a solid. I mean, that's hardly bearish to me. How about you?
Not bearish at all. Maybe a little weak. We are, and we'll see it on the daily. I think there's just concern about valuations of tech companies and you know the uh, the value of AI. Right, that is still yet to be determined. I think in most cases, there's a ton of money coming into it. Uh, you guys can hear us, right?
Check, check. I thought
Felix
we
is
did.
stuck at the loading screen, but I think they can hear us. Uh, but yeah, it looks a little weak, Coach Paul. But I think it's just some of the uncertainty with valuations for AI companies going forward. Right, we saw Broadcom yesterday report their earnings, make new all-time highs, and then during their earnings call, uh, speak to a few concerns about AI and the cost of it. Um, so let's take a look at the daily. Uh, Back to this candle, the October 10th candle, the tariff tantrum candle is still relevant. Closing inside that candle, we were talking about this on the show with Chad, Brad, and Nick. They said, what can you expect going into next week? And we trade outside of this candle is the analysis for me next week. 25,388 is the high of the candle. That is October 10th, one of the more significant high volume candles we've had on the daily. We also had November 20th, pretty much that same range. Can the market leave this range? Yesterday, it was a support at the high. We can see bad tech news, and we fall right back into it. What are you seeing here on the daily? Anything different?
Well, one thing of concern was the range of the break.
Yep.
There was no underlying support. The range for it was 616 points. The average true range was 370 area. So that is a concern on the daily. We were under the 200 and a half hour. And we were talking earlier towards the opening, and there was some big selling on the opening that really couldn't find any good buying. And that size of range, almost 1.5 times the average, is a concern. But can it continue? We haven't seen that. We'll see next week, but still, it comes back to the theme of profit taking. It's still up 21% on the year. Coming in the last 2 weeks of December, it can hardly be a shock that there's some selling.
100%. That's the first above average volume day we've seen in 3 weeks, 4 weeks. It's been a little bit. 14 trading days. That's the first above average volume day. Of course, we had the holiday week and things like that, so it's going to be lower volume, but always bigger volume to the downside. Shout out to Dan Emmons, who's been saying that all week. Feels like distribution, right? Where all of the bigger volume we were seeing is to the downside. Today, no different. Let's take a look at the 30-minute chart here. What is that white line? We talked about this during the opening call. We talked about this all week. Uh, man, 200 moving average on 30-minute chart. We attach a VWAP to the first 30 minutes, and volume never traded above the 200 moving average for the day. Price advertised up there a couple of times. We did gap down after that Broadcom earnings call, and volume never traded above that 200 moving average. That's concerning if you're looking long, because we kind of didn't respect that 200 moving average all week, Coach Paul. We were talking about this earlier when we were trading together. The market really didn't care about that 200 moving average until today, it seemed like. What are you seeing on the 30 here?
Well, we talked, it was lackluster. Now we're coming into Friday. We had that earnings, which were pretty good for Broadcom.
Yep.
Was it just 24 hours ago?
Should have canceled the earnings call. They should have canceled the call afterwards.
All-time highs.
Yeah.
It's all good. And then real volume comes in. And when we talk about that, this is okay. Now the ante's up and it's someone else's turn, and they went, I'll raise you on the sell side. And boy, that last night told the tale, volume wise. VWAP under the 200, stayed there. We talked. We couldn't find a bid. And when I say that, I couldn't find size to take the other side of the selling. And I like what I saw in the audience. I see the word urgency about 4 times. Yeah, it was urgent selling.
Yeah, it really was
a dead cat bounce. I mean,
yeah, right back up to VWAP. I put the point of control for the day. We can see once the New York session came in, and like Coach Paul just said, once that real volume came in for the day, it got really aggressive to the downside. We'll take a look at a shorter time frame, and we go over this stuff all the time. And we talked about it, the importance of identifying a setup, not just identifying a setup. Also, go back out to the 30-minute. We watched the opening call today. I'm gonna give a shout out to Coach Ray. This 30-minute candle here, which was 3 a.m. Central Time, was one of the higher volume 30-minute candles we saw in the overnight session. And we've talked about, that being kind of an anomaly for that time frame. That's a decent amount of volume trading there. You can see where we rejected. We love these 50% retracements. Really nice trade there for the New York session. Coach Paul, if I review my trading day, I got to be a little bit better. I had a decent day, but I got to be a little bit better. This rejection up here, a really nice trade here. And if we look on the New York session open, and we look at VWAP from the New York session open, I'm going to change the full session to a different color so we can know the difference. Full session is going to be purple. Another one where this looks just like the overnight trade, right? We have price advertised higher than the opening range. Volume never leaves that range to the upside. We reject near that 25,600 level and the overnight VWAP. And when we get back below here, it was just liquidation sell. You went over that example with Hogue and Coach Vince, but when somebody has a ton of size to sell and there's no one willing to buy, price is going to go lower. Because now everyone is running for the same door trying to get out and sell it when we realize price is not going up. Anything you want to talk about on the shorter time frame chart?
Yeah, that cascading.
Yeah,
it was cascading selling. Well, we talked earlier, using the example, there was a lot to sell. And so just using examples, 1,000, and turn around and you get off 100 and it costs you 20 points. And now you're going to sell some more, all right? or the public is selling more into weak hands. So that's the cascading effect. And we had it, and it took a little bit of time to break out of that 3 minute. When it did, it picked up steam. And it didn't even, we had continuation. Look at that large 3 minute volume
Oh yeah.
um, after the opening. That had a chance of being a J trade. Um, but it continued. It traded above it, and the selling came back again. Um, really a tough trade there. But right off that opening range, VWAP told the tale. But it took some time. Now we were lower already, like Coach Ray calling it 3 o'clock. So this started in Europe. So there was
Yep.
already some selling, but what was the volume for the day? And we had almost 2 times the average true range. What was the day volume? Was it above average?
Above average, about 110,000 contracts above the average.
No.
Six 684.
But
572 is the
not
average.
but not great volume.
No.
So liquidity it's kind of tough right now, especially for selling because you got to find some buyers, right? And to find buyers, the bigger players that are out there are probably sitting on the sidelines till January.
Yep.
So you have to go to liquidity or market makers, and we saw that once again. Not once again, it was a hot potato on the way down.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. All right, we'll see. We'll see what next week brings. Again, I'm looking at the fact that the Nasdaq is inside that October 10th candle. We'll take a quick look at the S&P trading right at the high of that candle, 6806. Uh, the market coming back to this price is not a coincidence. That it stops at that price specifically, that's not a coincidence. That price means something to somebody. We had the Dow today make new all-time highs. 48,917 is the all-time high in the futures. Looking stronger than tech. Are we seeing rotation?
Oh, absolutely. That's
Right.
got rotation written all over it.
Yep.
It made an all-time high, but
Yeah.
it's still behind NASDAQ for the year by 7%. So definitely rotation. Seeking safety. And there's a lot of, like you talked earlier, there's a lot of rumors and talk about AI bubble being burst. Well, we don't know as traders. Is it? Is it not? I don't know. No one sent me the books. But once again, reading volume and price action can give you an idea. Let's look at, matter of fact, let's look at Rusty.
Got it up right here
Because
on
it
the
went
daily.
Today
Yep. Here's the daily on the Russell.
on the 3 minute.
Oh,
No,
three.
on the 3 minute,
Gotcha.
because
Gotcha.
it went early. That was the weakest one on the board early.
Man, was it?
That,
Was it? Was it? Was it? It took a little while for VWAP to leave the range, but yeah, this was this was weak.
yeah, it kind of led the way down, and it hasn't been the case lately. That was a nice trade, and it didn't have the whipsaw action.
Never does. The Russell is usually pretty clean with price action down 1.5% on the day. I see some comments in the chat that I want to get to, but Flex, great answer there. What was really interesting to me in the Russell today, and we talked about this during the opening call, hinted at it, and I was actually short the Russell today, guys. Fumbled it, fumbled it. I got to be better, and I will be better. But again, had a decent day. But 2,600 in the Russell. Why does 2,600 matter to me? Because it's a big fat round number, and it's right near all-time highs. Something is the heaviest. Coach Paul, you used the gym example. I'm at the gym and I'm lifting, and this is the heaviest weight I've ever lifted. Can't get another rep. I have to rack the weights, or they're gonna crush me. And that's kind of what happened here. Price advertised above 2,600 in the in the Russell, highest it's ever been. And there's thin air up here. Look at VWAP, this purple line here. It crossed above 2,600 for a little bit in the overnight session. Not surprising, right? It's the overnight
Right.
session. Less volume is going to move the market. But were they actually able to sustain it? As soon as the real volume comes in for the day, what happens? Pulls VWAP right back under it and held the rest of the day to the downside. Really nice cascading move to the downside there. That is liquidation selling. Never got back above VWAP for more than a 3-minute candle, and ending the day near its lows. Really nice. I'm curious, anyone in the chat catch the Russell?
Yeah, that's an interesting question because I
Yeah.
really becoming a fan of the Russell. I think it's
Really clean market.
yeah.
Really clean market.
Rusty had finals. He's on winter break now.
Yeah, right? Shout out to all the college kids getting on winter break right now. I got a younger brother who's excited to get home and done with the semester.
And eat out the refrigerator.
Yeah, right. My parents' grocery bill is going to go up a little bit over
Yeah.
the next couple of weeks.
It's good.
Let's see. We had some questions here. Sorry I'm late. All good. Better late than never. What are your thoughts next week with rollover? I have 2 fresh XFAs and trying to decide how to trade them next week. With rollover week, for me, as a volume trader, I'm aware that some of the volume reads that I have may be a little skewed, especially if I'm looking at delta and things like that. But the markets are still going to move. Now, are they going to be directional? They haven't really been directional over the last 3 weeks, right? So I don't know that that's going to change, and maybe we see more range next week. The way I see it, and the way I've been kind of approaching all of these trading days is, I'll look at the overnight if something's happening. If not, I'll wait until we get closer to the New York session open, and then in that first hour to an hour and a half is where I'm trying to do most of my trading, and then wait it out from there. Any suggestions you have? I don't know that I'm changing too much because of rollover week, but more so just being aware of it.
Being aware of it is key point.
Hmm.
And not blocking it out.
Yeah.
So, really good question here. Anyone have advice for FOMO after hitting my DLL but not locking out? Ooh. Well, first of all, it's a really good question because you're understanding that you know what you need to do, but you're not doing it. All right. So that's the lesson that you have to learn. It's all by the way, you're going to hit your DLL. At one point, there was a coach who hit his DLL today. He was one of the best traders we have. It happens.
Yep.
Locks out, and that's it. The thing is, there's an old saying: the best way to dig yourself out of a hole is to quit digging it. And that's what a DLL really is. It's like there's going to be days. If you think of it in a business like terms, you're going to have losing days in a business. You can't have that, or a business a little slower. You're going to have losing quarters, but you can't have a quarter that destroys you. You have to have working capital. That's your account balance. So it's one of the key skills you have to learn in that DLL is that you're going to hit it and you're going to have to turn your attitude is it's negative, right? Like, how the hell? Oh man, turn that around. It's like, okay, I hit it. I can stop now. And that is a good habit. I can stop and not just stop. And you were saying you're coming back because you didn't lock yourself up. Lock it out and leave. Go reward yourself that you're doing something positive. Go do something you enjoy.
Yep.
Go have great lunch. Take your girlfriend out or your wife. Do something that's positive. That's because that'll change your mindset. What happens when we hit DLL, we sit there and we just get anchored to how could I have done that? Well, if two things, if you follow the trading plan and your rules, it's just that kind of day, and it happens. And you have to learn to accept that it happens, and you have to have a good DLL. And can't be 50%. It's got to be good and reasonable. So don't beat yourself up to it. Reward yourself when you get to a reasonable DLL that you stop. Not only you turn it off and you go away. Don't even watch. That's my suggestion.
Yeah. I want to give a shout out to Kevin Pete. I passed my combine in 3 days just trading the 15-minute opening range break strategy. It can be that simple. It can be that simple. And, the market conditions facilitated great opening range breakout trades this week. Is it always going to be that way? Of course not. But we manage risk over a long period of time. You can continue taking that trade day in and day out. There was a question, and I want to get back to that point. Felix said, so we see patterns that repeat or that develop. How do you adapt to patterns that shift and don't follow usual protocols? You manage your risk. Sometimes it's really hard to win every trading day of the year, right? So if I notice that something that I'm looking at doesn't work over an extended period of time, right, and I'm not overreacting to 1 or 2 data points, then I start to adjust. But I'm gonna be honest, I don't know the last time I've adjusted strategy. I know when it doesn't work, and I know when to implement it and when it doesn't, when not to implement it, right? Or I hope that I know that, right? And we say it here: know your strategy well enough to know when it doesn't work. But I would say you have to have a ton of data, right? Maybe a month of data where you're trading reasonable size and not seeing favorable results before you start changing anything. Especially if it's a simple trade like like an opening range breakout trade. There's just going to be times where it doesn't work. If you want to identify what those market conditions are and then not take the trade during those conditions, different story, right? When are there times where I may not look for an opening range trade, or if I take it, I know that it's probably not going to work? We have jolts that usually comes out at 10 a.m. Eastern time, right? A half hour into the market open. On days like that, I'm probably not expecting an opening range breakout trade to work as well because the market's probably going to wait. I saw your question. I got you. Just always have your risk set. Again, there was a trade that I had today that I loved. If I over leverage that trade, my account is gone before I get to experience any of the trade, right? So anything we do, 40% is great. If you can be right 40% of the time and manage risk, you're in a great spot. All right. One more question I wanted to get to as I fly says, I knew today was going to be dumping hard. However, having a hard time shorting stuff. It just doesn't seem natural for me. Any thoughts? So you read the market conditions well. You knew it was going to sell off, but you have a hard time shorting it. Coach Paul, I call that a win.
Well,
If you didn't buy it.
if you didn't buy it, yeah, a good trade. I mean, if you didn't buy it, you saved capital.
Yep.
Now, but going into you're saying, you're not comfortable being short, and that's a very natural thing. I don't know how long you've been trading, but when I first started trading, I told my uncle, yeah, I could short this. And he goes, and he's an old school guy. And he's like, "Ooh, what do you mean by short?" Well, I sell it. He goes, "How can you sell it if you don't already own it?" And he was just flabbergasted and kind of a little angry, like, "That's wrong. How can you do that?" Um, so if you're if you're it goes against natural thought pattern. And in futures, it's so much easier just to get to, to me, it's just short or long. I don't now against the traditional buy and hold. In your subconscious, you probably have some guilt. I shouldn't be selling this unless I own it. Now, first thing you're noticing it, you're having trouble doing that. Understand that, and don't force the action. If you're having trouble getting short, trade the long side. If it's not there, the coach has said, "Hey, you didn't take it, it's kind of a win." So, but as you go on, you have to get used. It's a good idea to get used to that. But the first part is to understand that you have that. Understand why it's probably guilt that how can and that's natural. Um, but if you might not be able to overcome that, and yet you can do very well.
especially when markets are rallying.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
buy the dip.
yeah, and I you see, you just said as I fly. I said I'm okay holding a long position for whatever time, but not a short. I mean, hey, we know Dakota is he's a great trader, right? He's a perma bull. He can trade both sides of the market, but if Dakota has his choice, the market will only ever go up because he's going to kill it, right? Because he sees the market better to the upside than the downside. And it just is what it is. I see the market better to the short side personally. And I think it's because when I started trading, the market was not in a great position to continue rallying. When I started figuring things out, so it happens. I have to remind myself to like be like, hey, you can buy things, right? It's not always look for a short. You can buy things, but what happens with shorts? They happen quicker. There's more volume to the downside. Is maybe an easier read. Like, hey, no one wants to buy this good, so we can sell it. Uh, just know whatever you're predisposed to. Uh, Keep that in mind when you're trading.
Here's one other thought on that is you're probably just trading equities. Now, I started in the commodity business. Shorts and commodity business is it's just as common as longs.
Hmm.
In the cash business, you could be short. You made a sale, but you haven't purchased let's say you're in the grain business. You promise a sale of X amount of soybeans, but you don't own the cash. You don't own them yet. You're short, and it's a natural thing in the commodities trading industry. It isn't natural for especially day traders. It's just not, but you can develop the talent, but it it's something it takes some time for you to learn. One of those things is take one side. One of the biggest piece of advice I got was from Peter Stottlemyre's. Take one side. Your biggest losing days to me are taking two sides of them or being wrong twice.
Yeah.
Is that that's where you lose total control. So don't rush into being comfortable being short. Um, if you're successful right now, I don't think there's really an urgency to change.
Yo. All right. Let's take a look at the metals. Gold on the weekly. We are pretty close to all-time highs here. Is Santa gonna give the gold bulls present for Christmas? What are we seeing here on the weekly?
Oh, nice rally. Um, Look at that little channel. Mm, Yeah, maybe in January, all-time highs. It's a bullish chart.
Yes,
You
it
wouldn't
is.
know it from today's action, but that's a pretty bullish chart.
Yes, it is. Take a look at the daily here, and still pretty bullish. I'm gonna frame out that October 21st candle again. Uh, we closed about 50% of it yesterday. We checked to make sure that we were done trading that 50% today and closed above it. Still pretty bullish. We talked about, once this breakout, if it sustains, are we going to trade up to the highs? And for a minute today, it looked like we were going to. I think if silver was able to keep running, then gold was going to follow. But we had a really nice turnaround. And where did that happen? Do a lot paying attention to the market's reaction to big fat round numbers. 4,400 didn't even get up there. If you look at VWAP, it stopped trading higher. High of the day 43,780. uh, we're going to need some more volume to trade higher. What are you seeing in the overnight session, Coach Paul? I'm going to step away for just a second.
Okay, overnight session. Typical. VWAP did not leave the first half hour's range. We drifted lower, but not surprisingly, after yesterday's big rally, we held the value area, and more importantly, that started at Globex open. Let me ask the audience, what's more important than the Globex open? What other open is more important?
Like me, I know.
I give it to you.
Huh. Let's see if anyone gets it. What opened? New York. Okay, New York is an important one. RTH, London. See, find the answer you're looking for. There we go. Coach Hoop got it.
Shit, Don Freeman got it.
Dawn got it as well. Sodbuster has it.
Yeah. So,
What
yeah.
are they doing in Shanghai?
So
And here
let's
is that Shanghai Open. Different story.
now let's attach that anchor that VWAP to that opening.
Different story.
It's a different story. Now why? Shanghai is number 2 in volume. Shanghai futures is now number 2 in volume. It's, it's important.
Hmm.
So when they open up, it means something. And that opening is 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 Central. And the low was made last night. And then we went sideways, but look when VWAP left the range. And this is a volatile market. So what is the risk? We leave the range, we've talked about new lows. Well, even on a micro, I think it's like $30 or $300
Yeah.
on a micro. But man, what a rally.
Yeah. Really nice move. So
Oh,
there are some questions here. Why is that more important? And is this just for the gold, metals, commodities? We're looking at this specifically in the metals and more specifically gold. What I would say is I don't know when we changed the clocks, when daylight savings time was over, I guess. Look at a chart. Let me give you guys a little bit of homework. Look at a chart, 30-minute chart, remove everything but a volume indicator, and count since daylight savings time how many times in the overnight session that 8 p.m. Eastern time candle is the highest volume candle in the overnight session, or when we start to see the volume increase. That's why we're looking at it. Count how many days that's happened. November 1st. So from November 1st till today, count how many times that 8 p.m. Eastern time candle is where we see a volume spike. And that's why it's important, right? Um, Half of what Coach Paul and I talk about here is volume based. So we're looking at that as a session open. Why does everyone pay attention to the New York session open in the equities? Why does everyone care about 9:30 Eastern time, 8:30 Central? That's when the most of the volume comes in. If all the volume came in at 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central, that would be our opening range. But when that bell rings, it means something, and we're seeing that volume come in at that time almost every day. And before, with the clocks changed, it was 9 p.m. Eastern time, 8 p.m. Central.
Sell order. Acknowledged.
And like Coach Paul just said, it changed. It changed what happened today, right? If we look from just the Globex Open, you might have been short gold for good reason. Right? If that's what you consider the open, you may have been short, and you probably got a 2-to-1 trade there. But the higher time frame flows to the upside, and then Asia comes in and says, "Oh yeah, we want some of that too, so we're gonna buy it." And really nice buy.
Now, that rally, I mean, it was looked at on a half-hour bar. What was it, like 10 hours of just buying?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. Now, we talk about J trades. Did we see a J trade in a 3-minute or 5-minute period
At the highs?
at the highs?
I don't think we did.
No.
Actually, it wasn't an anomaly. It was 2 times the average right at this high here. It didn't really stick out like, oh wow, that is something. But for that time frame, this 3-minute candle up here at this high was the highest volume that we saw for the day, right near those highs, and it did kind of turn us around. And then we saw the aggressive volume coming in. But
how about a 5-minute time frame?
Take a look. Yeah, that 5-minute candle at the high is 2 times the average. 2 times the average. Nice little decoded 3-bar reversal at those highs. But then again, this comes in. I got to be better, Coach Paul.
Well, if you were looking for that or have an alert, now that wasn't clean. It wasn't like some dramatic buying.
Yeah.
It's just the seller, whatever, an entity, sellers came in with big volume. So that big volume outside of an opening on the sell side took out how many?
Took out everything. Yeah. Took everyone out. Clean house. All you buyers, get out.
Now, the interesting part is that the gold still finished higher on the day.
Because look at where it stopped, right? On the daily, back to the daily, 42.82 was that 50% mark.
This looks bullish. So what did we get out of this? Even at the highs, anything can happen.
Yep.
Be prepared. You don't know when that's going to happen. You might think you do, but things change quickly. That's what we talk about, uncertainty. But once you recognize that kind of volume taken out, that's a sweep. That's a classic sweep. That was a big order that said, it didn't look at price. It said, sell X amount.
Yep.
So maybe sell 1,000. But wait a minute. We do that. That's a bigger entity. That isn't some big trader. That's an entity going, well, I need to sell 1,000. Well, wait a minute. I didn't ask. Just sell it. Probably a longer term player, most likely. But once that happens, look at that volume, frame that out, and see that when we broke that low of that big volume, there was a high chance of continuation.
Yep.
So, but gold, like you said, on a daily, we held that 50% of the top, the reversal candle, still looking good. Now, silver, oh man, oh man. So you'll love silver.
Aggressive sell-off here today in silver, down 3.83% on the day after making a new all-time high of 65.085. Is that the largest volume candle we've seen in silver all year? It is.
Right up there.
Is the party over?
Well, we have an engulfing candle at all-time highs. That is not friendly.
Yeah.
So look at today's low, and that's going to be, and at 50%, to me, that's going to encompass. If we break today's low, like on Monday, and get any kind of continuation on a half hour, it could get ugly. Why engulfing candle higher? We made all-time highs, took out the previous day's low. Although we settled in the middle, we still settled how many dollars lower? Basically $2.50 lower. That's concerning for me if I'm long.
Yeah. Yeah, that low, and we've seen gold do this as well, right? Highest volume of the day, and I see As I Fly saying party is not over. Felix saying it's just getting started. Agreed, but it has to hold that low. It has to hold that low, or we could see a little bit of a pullback. Party might not be over, but might be seeing a little intermission here. Silver has run on this breakout alone since the prior all-time high in November. We're up 20% in 10 trading days. Can it continue? It absolutely can. It could run all the way to 100. But are there going to be some aggressive pullbacks on the way? I wouldn't be surprised at it. And today was a sign of that. So as long as these lows, especially on these heavy volume candles, continue to hold, then it'd be nice to see it continue to rally. I don't want this trend to end because I'll take a little piece of it every once in a while.
Well, we saw something similar to this in October.
Yep,
right there. You had the cursor there. That engulfing day in October, like the middle of October.
17th, right here. Yep.
Yeah. And look what happened when
my
we
fire
broke
alarm's
that
going
low.
off, Coach Paul. I'm going to have to leave.
Huh?
My fire alarm's going off.
Oh, well.
I think we're going to have to wrap the show here, everyone.
I think there's things more important than
Happy Friday,
reviewing
everybody.
silver.
We'll see you soon.
All right. Have a good weekend.
Bye.
Bye.